The rain fell hard on the quiet streets of Mons, Belgium, in the winter of 1997. It was a grey, forgettable day, until a city worker noticed a suspicious bag beneath a bridge near the local train station. What lay inside would plunge the town into a nightmare that remains unsolved to this day. Dismembered human remains, carefully wrapped and left in plain sight. Not once, but repeatedly, and always in plastic grocery bags. Who was committing these horrific murders? And why was the killer hiding in plain view? The case would soon earn an ominous name: the Butcher of Mons. Between early 1996 and 1997, authorities would uncover body parts belonging to 5 women in and around the city. These weren't hurried, chaotic murders. The dismemberments were precise, methodical. Bags containing severed limbs and torsos were often left near roads, in canals, or beneath bridges, places many people would pass on their daily commute. For months, the people of Mons lived in quiet fear, knowing a predator walked among them. The first remains discovered were eventually linked to a victim named Jamila Ancour, a 30-year-old woman with a troubled past. Her life, much like those of the other victims, had threads of vulnerability. Many of the women were said to be struggling with addiction or living at the margins of society. These weren't high-profile cases until their bodies started turning up in pieces. Soon, 4 more victims were identified: Nathalie Godard, Begonia Valencia, Martine Beaune, and Jacqueline Leclerc. Each of them disappeared without a trace. Each of them returned in fragments. The killer seemed to be toying with authorities. In several instances, body parts were placed near important public institutions, beneath a viaduct next to a major highway, or near a police station. The unsettling placement suggested the killer was watching, perhaps even relishing the panic he was causing. In all cases, the remains were handled with disturbing precision, indicating some knowledge of human anatomy, though whether medical, amateur, or professional remains unknown. Despite dozens of interviews, local investigations, and widespread media attention, law enforcement struggled to find leads. Initial investigations yielded little. Hundreds of people were questioned. Dossiers were made. But with no crime scenes and few witnesses, police found themselves chasing shadows. Some began to speculate. Was the killer a butcher or someone with training in anatomy? A former medical student? A disgruntled surgeon? Others theorized that the killer chose marginalized women deliberately, assuming their disappearances wouldn't raise alarms. This chilling logic gained momentum as yet another victim was identified only after her dismembered remains were discovered. One of the eeriest aspects of the case was the lack of forensic evidence. DNA samples were difficult to collect, and there were no identifiable prints or fibers. Belgian authorities even issued public appeals for nurses, doctors, or anyone with an anatomical background who might have been in the area to come forward, either as potential suspects or witnesses. But the appeals yielded no answers. The killer seemed to vanish after the last known body was found in 1997, leaving behind only silence and fear. Over the years, several names circulated in relation to the case, but no arrests were ever made. Serial killer theories abounded. particularly given the apparent ritualistic and repeated nature of the crimes. Was the Butcher of Mons actually a known figure hiding in plain sight? Someone who blended into daily life, perhaps even lived nearby, yet with no clear suspects and no new evidence, the case has remained ice cold for more than 2 decades. Today, the crimes of the Butcher of Mons remain etched in Belgium's collective memory. Relatives of the victims are still left with unanswered questions, their grief compounded by the lack of justice. Every bag discovered in those years was not just a grotesque message. It was a cry for awareness, a signal twisted into horror. And now, after all this time, we are left to wonder, has the killer died, moved away, or are they still silently walking among the crowds of some ordinary town, hiding in plain sight, just waiting to be found?